guys, today we're going to be setting up this oldie smart electronic identity sensor system. So this is going to be going on an automatic door, and it's going to automatically open the door whenever a pet comes into range of the door. So these are little pet sensors here. These don't necessarily have to be used for pets. These can also be used in an industrial application. If you've got a roller door, you could put these on a forklift and the door would open with the forklift. But for this application, it's going to be used in a residential setting. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to power it up and learn the tags to the sensor, just so I can show you down low a clear idea of how to pair it. It's also a good way to troubleshoot before you have it installed. It's a lot easier to access everything when it's on the ground. And yeah, so some things worth mentioning about this is it has an operating range from 12 to 30 volts. That can be either AC or DC. So you've got your pigtail here, which goes into the actual unit. I'll show you in a second. But just for a reference, the blue and green wires on this pigtail are for your clean contact sensors. They are normally open, and your red and black is for your DC or AC signal. Okay, let's start with removing the cover from the sensor here. I had pre-removed this, but it just has 4 clips of 2 notches on the top and 2 clips on the bottom, and you just simply lift that up using a small screwdriver, being very careful not to break the tabs. You can actually see the tabs on the corner here. On the back of the unit, this is where your cable enters from, so the cable will go in the back there and then into this header. So let's plug that in right now. As you can see, the connector's notched, so it will only go in one way. Okay, that's all the basic stuff. That's all you really need to do. Now we will get it set up to the laboratory power supply, and we'll power it up and learn the tags in. Something worth mentioning as well is this package should include 2 tags, the mounting screws, but you will have to supply your own CR2032 batteries, as they cannot be shipped easily, as they're a hazard category. So you'll just need to pick up a couple of these before you receive the unit. So I now have the unit connected to the power supply, and I've also just put my multimeter across the clean contact output, so you can tell every time the door would be opened. So whenever this multimeter beeps, it means that the door has received a signal to open. Okay, so now we can power on the power supply. I've just set it to 12 volts, 200 milliamps. That's more than enough. It shouldn't draw nearly that much. And we'll power it on. You can see that the red light comes on the unit, and it's only drawing about 0.05 amps, nothing. So 50 milliamps. We'll give it a little time to initialize. I'm not sure how long it takes. And while that's happening, we will open one of these up and install the battery. So it appears as if there's just a single Phillips screw on the back, and then presumably just a small screwdriver to split the 2 halves apart. So I have now removed the screw from the unit, and all we need to do now is just put a screwdriver into the side and gently pry the unit open. I'll see if I can film myself doing that. So if this isn't completely out of frame. All we have to do is slide a screwdriver in gently, and you'll hear the click as the unit splits apart. Okay, now we can install our battery inside the unit. So now we just simply slide the battery into its retainer. And there we go. Now our battery is inside the unit. Once the battery's installed, we can put our cover back on the unit. You'll also notice that on the outside here, you've got a silicone gasket. So you should be very careful not to scuff that in any way. That is for waterproof. Obviously, if you have it on a pet, they're going to be out in the weather, so you don't want it to get water ingress. Okay, we'll clip that back together, and we will reinstate this screw. Okay, to learn the tags, we just hold the button on here until the blue light comes on, and then I think we just simply push the button on the tag. Oh, we have to do it quite quickly. Blue, push the button, There we go. That should have learnt it. So, yep, there we go. There's our contact. My multimeter is actually not beeping for some reason. What I'll do is I will turn on the beeping function. And which one has the battery in it? This one. So if I walk out of the room now, there we go, it's just turned off. And if I approach the room, there we go, it's turned back on. Perfect. Okay, so I've attached the tag to the dog's collar and the sensor has been installed. So the wiring was, as you saw in the room, I'll show you the back of it in a second, but first we'll show that the door opens when he gets close to it. So if I call him, come on boy, come on. As soon as he gets close to the door opens, and if I get him to follow me out, come on boy. So in a second the door should close. And he's run away from me. All right, let me just go grab him and then we'll show you the door opening. In you go, come on. And just like that, the tag works for him. A bit tricky to get him to do what I want, but anyway. So as you can see, we've got our positive, negative, and our trigger wires, and they are just coming down to my push to exit switch here. So these push to exit switch, so these push to exit wires here, they just go into the door controller. If you want exact directions on how to hook it into this controller, I have also made a video on how to set this one up. Okay, that will just about do it for the dog tag. What I'll do now is I'll just screw this panel back to the wall. This is all the alarm control panel wires. So I'll just screw the panel back on and we'll be done. Okay, so the panel is back on the wall and the sensor's installed, looking very nice. And if I call the dog over, come on boy, come here. Come on. There we go. I hope you enjoyed.